Okay, we are live on YouTube. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to those in the room, to those on Zoom, to those watching us on YouTube Live. It is wet outside, but it's dry in here, and nice and warm and comfortable, and it is a lovely Shabbat, and we are delighted to welcome you to our Shabbat worship. We are going to begin our worship service on page 24 with Shalom Aleichem. Page 24, which in the big book. If you have the weekday festival and Shabbat prayer book, the big book, it is on page 142. If you have the Shabbat only prayer book, which is what we have here in the room, it is page 24. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom, shalom Aleichem, shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Koachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Before we continue, I want to point out, because we have some new people here tonight, that in case of emergency, God forbid, we have several exits from the room. We have the front door here. We have two doors in the back that lead to the playground and then out to the street. And then also the way you came in and through this door here, through this room here and out that way to the parking lot. So if there is an emergency based on the The specific emergency will direct you how to exit. We're going to continue with the lighting of the Shabbat candles. You will find it on pages 2 and 3, pages 120, 121 in the big book. And for the honor of lighting the Shabbat candles, Lisa Love is going to join us. Just press down this bottom square. Yep. Almost. It's a trick wick. Oops.
Oh, look what you did.
Oh.
It's a trick handle.
Amen. Thank you. We continue on page 6, page 124 in the big book. Let's read responsively in the middle of the page. May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May it welcome all who have cares unburdened, veins to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to younger afraid feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May the synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
We continue with Lechato D, page 20, 138 in the big book. We'll sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. When we reach verse 9, we rise and face the rear of the sanctuary to welcome the Sabbath bride. Shabbat nekavla, lechato di likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekavela, lechato di likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekavela, lechato di likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekavela. מחשבה תחילה, לך תודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, seated. A kavanah from outside the prayer book by Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt. You who fill and surround creation, who adorn the heavens in time before time, with the sparkling net of galaxies like gems in the sky's expanse. You don't need us to make your name great throughout the world. It's all we can do to hold this scant fractal encoded in our limbs, our temporary breath. We praise anyway through our generations, not because you need to hear it, but because something in us shifts, whether we whisper this reminder or shout it to the skies. You are upwelling, indwelling, holy, the song that sings in us. Blessed are you, Holy One, God who is holy. We continue with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 26, 144 in the Big Book. Yitkadav yitkadash meraba Be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich machutei B'chayechon uvyomechon Uchayedecho beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uvizman kariv Ve'imeru Amen. Yehesh meraba mevarach le'alam li'almei almaya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yama v'imeru Amen. We turn to page 28, 146 in the Big Book, and as able, we rise for the Baruch Hu and remain standing through the Shema. Ya la la, ya la la la, 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai, HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed, Ya la la, ya la la la, ya la la, ya la la la. Page 30, 148. Let's read together in the English. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Put your finger in page 34, 152 in the Big Book, then turn to page 373, 677 in the Big Book. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one, and we will know that you are one. Page 34, 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. We're seated. We continue together on page 36, 154 in the big book. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'beitecha uvlechtecha v'derech u'shochbecha u'kumecha u'kshartam le'od al yadecha v'hayu letotafot ben einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'vish'arecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem Emet. Page 39, 157 in the big book. We continue responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory, may earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
page 40, 158. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei feleh, nora tehilot osei feleh. Malachut tefora uvanecha, okei hayam livnei Moshe Miriam, Zelianu v'yamru, Zelianu v'yameru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. V'ne'emar ki fad Adonai et Yaakov, ugelo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Page 42, 160. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 44, 162 in the big book. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berid olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berid olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berid olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berid olam. Uvayom hashvi'i, Shabbat v'yinafash, Shabbat v'yinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berid olam. Again from outside the prayer book by Rabbi David Zaslow. Adonai, take me to the shore, to the edge of water, and open me wide as you carve out a place within me, at the broken edge of my being. It is from that place that I'll tell you praises in shining, flashing hymns and prayers of light. We turn to page 46, 164 in the big book, and as able, we rise for the tefillah. Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagid hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham leVezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav leHoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. We are seated. Page 55, 173 in the big book. Let's read together at the top of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 57, 175. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. Page 61, 179 in the big book. Our prayer for peace this evening is Lo Yisagoy. Lo Yisagoy el goy cherev, Lo yilmedu od milchama, Lo Yisagoy can take a few moments of personal reflection and prayer, using the words on the next few pages or those that flow from our hearts. Oseh Shalom is on page 62, 180 in the Big Book. Oseh Shalom Bimroma. No wonder I'm way too high there. We are welcoming the new month next Shabbat, actually. So we announce it and bless it, say the blessing this Shabbat, page 261, 379 in the Big Book. And this being a leap year, it is Adar 1, Adar Aleph. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu shetchadesh aleinu et hachodesh haba l'tova v'livracha. Our God and God of our ancestors, may the new month bring us goodness and blessing. May we have long life, peace, prosperity, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine, a life in which the longings of our hearts are fulfilled for good. Rosh Chodesh Adar Aleph Yihiyeh B'Yom Shabbat Haba. The new month of Adar Aleph will begin next Shabbat, next Friday night and Saturday. Do we have any birthdays or anniversaries this week? Nope. We then turn to our thoughts to those who are in need of healing of mind, body, and spirit.
Rabbi,
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we don't have a bulletin for the people online. I thought they might like the healing list.
Thank you. Sorry. need to see what I'm doing. That's it. All right, there you go.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Sorry about that, my friends. Turn back to page 253, 371 in the big book. This is as good a time as any for a public service announcement. COVID is back, and the surge is real and it's strong. If you have not gotten your booster, I highly recommend it, and I urge you to mask whenever it's feasible for you. We've had several families already who've been, in our congregation, who've been hit by it, so please take precautions. Misha berach avotenu v'imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah hu yivarech et hacholim. Patty Baker, Sarah Cohen, Bruce Dalby, Carolyn Dowlin, Stuart Dowlin, Adam, Alec, and Christy Falkowitz, Vito Frescas, Bernard Gottlieb, Melanie Hudson, Suzanne Carfield, Alex Langdale, Jana Lesser, Arthur McLeod, John Martinez, September McLeod, Mike McNerney, Robert Medeiros, Adriana Meyer, Carol Miller, Marge Muldoon, Cobb Muter, Min Muter, Robin Nelson, John Robertson, Pamela Roberto, Shimshon ben Abraham Sarah, Jennifer Simlin, Mike Stern, Emilio Vasquez, Keel Wheelis, Kay Williams, Betsy Winokur. Are there others for whom we are praying for healing this Shabbat? Sandra?
Amy Hammond and Bernice Fisher.
Thank you. Yes, Cynthia?
Thomas Paul and Dan Wright.
Thank you. Lacey?
Andrew Morales, Joyce Laney, and Ann Stacy.
Thank you. Anybody on Zoom? Eileen? Can you unmute?
Sorry, Dave Bowman, Marlene Frevely, Ronnie Ames, and Jerry Graham. Thank you, Lisa.
Yes. Anybody else on Zoom? For those who've been named and for those we name in our hearts, we continue. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Aleihem Lahachal Imam Ulrapotam Ulachazikam V'yishlach Lahem Mehera Refuah Refuah Shleiman Min Hashamayim Refuat HaNefesh Refuat HaGuf Hashtah Be'agala Bizman Kariv V'nomar Amen. We continue with the Misha Berach that we sing, which continues on that same page. Avotenu turn back in our prayer book to page 245 for Seder Kriyat HaTorah, for the service of the reading of the Torah. Elizabeth, would you help me with the Torah tonight? Thank you. Happy is the one who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding, for its value is greater than silver, its yield than fine gold. It is more precious than rubies, no treasure can match it. We continue on 246 and then immediately on 248. Please rise in honor of the Torah. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Udvar Adonai miYerushalayim. Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah. Le'amo Yisrael B'kedushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Gadol Adonai iti U'niromema Shemo Yavdav. Lecha Adonai Hagidula V'Hagivura V'Hatiferet V'Hanetzach V'Hahod. Kicho b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Kicho b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha Adonai Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam, ha'olam, omeid. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam, ha'olam, omeid. So last week, while we were having our Tu B'Shvat Seder, everybody else was reading the Song of the Sea. And of course, the Israelites escaped Pharaoh's army, celebrated freedom, and this week, they have arrived at Sinai. As you read, hopefully, in my Shabbat message, before they arrived at Sinai, Moses met up with his father-in-law, Yitro, who brought with him Moses' wife and children, had a little interaction, right? Yitro recommended to him, he saw what was going on, right? Saw that Moses was trying to do everything. Can't be all things to all people, needs to share the responsibility. Jethro sees this, he makes the recommendation to Moses. Moses says, not such a bad idea, and implements it. So now they are at Sinai, prepared to receive the Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 utterances, also known as the 10 Commandments, and that's where we pick up. It is customary to stand when we read the 10 Commandments. We'll say the blessing together first, and then I'll invite you as able to rise for the reading of the 10 Commandments. Let's join together in the blessing. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai hamavarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim ve'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Please rise as able. Vayedaber Elohim et kol hadvarim ha'ele lemor. And God spoke all of these words, saying, Anochi Adonai Elohecha asher hotzeiticha me'eretz Mitzrayim mibeit avadim. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out from the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. Lo yihiyeh lecha Elohim acherim al panai. You shall not have any other gods before me, other than me. Lo ta'aseh lecha fesel v'chol tumuna asher b'shamayim mima'al v'asher ba'aretz mitachat v'asher b'mayim mitachat la'aretz. You shall not make any graven images of anything that is in the heavens above or on the earth below or on the water that is beneath the earth. Lo tishtachave lahem v'lo ta'avdem ki anochi Adonai Elohecha el kana. You shall not bow down to them and you shall not worship them, because I Adonai your God am a jealous God. Poked avon avot al banim al shileshim vel ribeim lisonai, who visits the iniquities of the fathers upon the sons to the third and the fourth generations of those who reject me. Ve'osei chesed la'alafim la'ohavai u'l'shomrei mitzvotai, and does kindness to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and observe my commandments. Lo tisa et shem Adonai Elohecha lashav, ki lo yinakeh Adonai et asher yisa et shemo lashav. You shall not swear by my name, you shall not swear falsely by the name of Adonai your God, because I will not cleanse anyone who swears falsely by the name of Adonai. Zachor et yom haShabbat lekadsho. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Sheshet yamim ta'avod va'asita kol melachtecha. 6 days you shall labor and do all of your work. V'yom hashvi'i Shabbat la'Adonai Elohecha. But the 7th day is a Sabbath to Adonai your God. Lo ta'aseh kol melacha ata uvanecha uvitecha avdecha v'amatcha uvahemtecha v'gercha asher v'isharecha. You shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter or your manservant or your maidservant or your cattle or the stranger that is within your settlement. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz et hayam v'kol asher bam. For in 6 days God made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is within it. Ve'anach bayom hashvi'i, and rested on the 7th day. Al kain beirach Adonai et yom hashabbat v'kadshehu. Therefore God blessed the 7th day and made it holy. Kabed et avicha v'et imecha l'ma'an yarichun yamecha al ha'adama asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach. Honor your father and your mother, so that you may live long upon the earth that Adonai your God is giving you. Lo tirtzach, you shall not murder. Lo tinaf, you shall not commit adultery. Lo tignov, you shall not steal. Lo ta'aneh b'reacha eid shaker, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Lo tachmod beit re'echa, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. Lo tachmod eshet re'echa, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife. Va'avdo va'amato, or his manservant or his maidservant. V'shoro v'chamoro v'chol asher l're'echa, or his ox or his donkey or anything that your neighbor has. You may be seated. Let's join together in the blessing after. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, b'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Anybody feeling strong enough to lift? Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai, thank you, beyad Moshe. Yadai, dai, dai, yadai, dai, 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 yadai, dai, 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 yadai, dai, dai, yadai, dai, 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 yadai, dai, 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 dai. Page 100, page 256, 374 in the big book. Yalalu et Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado. Let us praise the name of Adonai, for God's name alone is exalted. Eitz chaim hi, machazikim ba, betom Meushar deracheha dachei noam v'chol netivotecha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha b'nashuva kadesh yameinu kekedem. Please be seated. It is my pleasure to invite Nami Iklav, who is the president and CEO of the Jewish Federation of San Antonio, to offer our Devar Torah.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom to those online. So it was 26 years ago this Shabbat that I realized, or I was taught, that there are two renditions of the Ten Commandments in our Torah. And this week we read the first one, where the fourth commandment, which is to remember the Sabbath, is actually different when the Ten Commandments are repeated in the book of Deuteronomy. So this week we're told remember, whereas in Deuteronomy later in the year we'll read it again, and it's shamor, keep the Sabbath. And not having grown up very Jewishly literate, I was a strong Zionist child to Israeli parents, but not necessarily Jewishly educated. It wasn't until I was an adult, when I was traveling with students to Washington, D.C. from California on a program called Panim al Panim, Face to Face, where young high school students went to go and participate in political action and meet with their elected officials. And it was this weekend that we had home hospitality in religious homes, and we happened to be sitting around in the afternoon after Shabbat services, and the family, we were just having a conversation, and I realized, I always thought it was their Shamor Shabbat, and they told me that it was Zahor in this particular week's Torah portion. Well, why the differences? The Jewish tradition teaches us that remember the Shabbat, the Zachor the Shabbat has to do with the do's of our practice. And the Shamor the Shabbat has to do with the don'ts of our practice. And according to Jewish tradition, there are 248 do's. Now, back when our scholars and our sages created these traditions, they were under the impression that there are 248 bones in the body. So one do for every bone. There's not quite that many. Science says there's some kind of approximately 209, depending upon some bones, whether you count them as split or single, but I'm not a doctor, it's not my area of expertise, but there's 248 do's. And don'ts, there happens to be 365 don'ts, one for every day of the year. Collectively, the do's and the don'ts add up to 613, which is the number of mitzvot that we have in our Torah. Well, this Shabbat is really about the do's. The do's that, coming from the Federation, I wanted to focus on a few of the do's that we do. So do educate the community. We do it through our Holocaust Memorial Museum, where we teach approximately 20,000 public school students, actually more than 20,000 public school students a year, now that the legislature has passed a Holocaust Education Week. We build relationships with our interfaith community, our business leaders, our elected officials, law enforcement, and our philanthropic community. We do outreach to our vulnerable and indigent community. We support those suffering from acts of anti-Semitism and discrimination. We plan for the Jewish community's future and its sustainability. And we rally in support to demonstrate, rather than protest, the things that we believe in. And we raise funds for the community at large. This week alone, on Monday, we had the Hate Ends Now cattle car, a replica of the World War II Holocaust cattle cars, was brought to San Antonio and will be traveling for the next 3 weeks, where we have students and schools and members of the community traveling through this traveling exhibit. We had 100 members of our leadership of the broader community on Monday evening visit us with us during that program. On Tuesday morning, we actually hosted 2 families of 3 of the hostages still in Gaza from the October 7th terror attacks, where we had over 200 members of the community visit with us and listen to their stories. The 3 hostages I wanted to mention by name were Omri Miran, who's 46 years old, Eitan Horn, 37 years old, and Yair Horn, 45 years old. We had Omri Miran's brother-in-law visit with us on Tuesday morning, and we had Eitan and Yair Horn's sister-in-law also there. Then Wednesday night, we actually screened the IDF film, the 47-minute film that was compiled by the Israel Defense Forces for our non-Jewish community leadership. This is the film that was shown to Congress, was shown to the White House staff, to the President and White House staff. This was the film that was shown to media, that was compiled by the Hamas GoPro videos themselves. So things that are available on the deep web, but film that compiled in order to be able to let our non-Jewish leadership know and see firsthand. The Israeli consulate and the Israeli government took this lesson actually from Eisenhower. After World War II, Eisenhower was the supreme Allied leader in Europe. And Eisenhower decided after World War II that what he saw after the Holocaust were such horrors and such evils that he believed someday would come when people would claim that these things didn't happen. And so Eisenhower required every American soldier that was stationed in Europe to visit a concentration camp before returning back home at the end of the war. Similarly, the Israeli government felt that although they're not going to put the film out for public viewing, that they wanted as many leaders and individuals of influence to see this video. We happened to have 3 city council members and the mayor. We had Chief McManus. We had a number of Bexar County commissioners. And we also had many interfaith leaders and community leaders at this event, including some of our academic administrators of the universities in San Antonio. But the do's aren't enough. The do's are just the things that we do. The why we do them is also important. And as we heard from Rabbi Goldstein earlier, the why we learned this week in this week's Torah portion, Jethro shared his level of empathy. Bringing Moses' wife and children to Moses was the act, but the why he did it was because of his sensitivity to Moses, recognizing that having been away from his home, having spent the time debating with Pharaoh about the merits of getting the Hebrews out of Egypt, he needed his family. And so Jethro brought him his family. Again, once Jethro got there, we heard from Rabbi that Jethro realized, as many father-in-laws or mother-in-laws might realize with their daughter or son-in-law, that things weren't going as easily as they could. And unlike children that might push back a little bit, Moses listened to his father-in-law and took that wisdom and was able to change the way he met the people's needs. That empathy that Jethro showed was really the difference between, or the reason why he did the do's that he did. There's a story in the Talmud of 2 great rabbis. And I'm sure you've probably heard many stories about Rabbi Shammai and Rabbi Hillel. These rabbis were attributed to sort of 2 schools of thought. Rabbi Shammai was one school of thought, and Rabbi Hillel was the other. The Talmud often sides on Rabbi Hillel. Every once in a while, the Talmud sides on Rabbi Shammai. But more often than not, Rabbi Shammai is sort of the minor voice versus the major voice of Rabbi Hillel. And there's a story about how an individual wants to learn the Torah. And he wants to learn the Torah so quickly that he wants to do it while standing on one foot. Al regel echad, as it says in the Torah. And he first goes to Shammai. And this individual says, Shammai, Rabbi Shammai, you're such a great scholar. Teach me everything there is to know about Judaism while I stand on one foot. And Rabbi Shammai, with his strong, not so empathic personality, sends the person on his way out with the insolence that he felt the question was posed to him. The individual then went to Rabbi Hillel and said to Rabbi Hillel, you're such a great scholar. Teach me everything there is to know about Judaism while I stand on one foot. And Rabbi Hillel thought for a moment. And Rabbi Hillel, who presents as the empathic and caring individual, thought, well, how can I teach him everything there is to know? And came up with the statement, do not do unto others as you would not want them to do to you. Everything else is commentary. Now go study. And this is when Rabbi Hillel came up with the Jewish version of what we know as the Golden Rule. Almost every faith across the world has a Golden Rule type statement. Usually we hear it in the affirmative. Usually we hear it in the do unto others as you would want them to do to you. And Rabbi Hillel turned it around. Why did Rabbi Hillel turn it around? We're not quite sure. But an example of the difference between do and don'ts, as Rabbi Hillel and Rabbi Hillel teaches us, is that, for instance, I happen to like chicken soup when I'm sick. So if I did it according to the traditional Golden Rule, do unto others, maybe a friend gets sick, I make chicken soup, or maybe my wife makes it and I take it over. And I arrive at my friend's house and I bring the chicken soup. I get there and realize, oh, They happen to be vegetarian. So the intent was there, the action was there, but the fulfillment and the satisfaction was amiss. But if you listen to Rabbi Hillel and you think about it from the negative, I don't like it when people treat me poorly. And if I don't behave that way to others, then in all likelihood, that will be beneficial to them. So more often than not, we know what we don't like. We know what we don't enjoy. We know what is painful to us. And if we don't do those things to others, that is the golden rule. So, although it's the don'ts, and that will come up in a few months when we come back to that parsha, the action is important. And the empathy, the why we do the action, is just as important. So even though the combination of both the do's and don'ts, the zachor and the shamor, by the way, which is why we have 2 candles for Shabbat, one for the shamor and one for the zachor. That's why we like at least 2. We are doing it in order to do good and avoid harm. We're doing it to celebrate our traditions and to protect against protecting their sanctity in order to not do certain things. We create an atmosphere of holiness and rest versus guarding the Shabbat or other holidays as a precious gift. The Torah teaches us by separating these 2 forms, like this week's Torah portion Yitro versus the one that we will read in the future, and breaking them into 2 distinct parshiot, we learn about the active do versus the later on active don't. So what I send you this weekend or this Shabbat with the message of, please remember that the things we need to do, we do out of our zachor, and the things we don't, we do out of our shamor. And empathy is really what drives those things. Shabbat shalom, and thank you for the time.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. For those I haven't met, for our guests, I'm Lacey Dolby, Chair of the Congregation. Shabbat Shalom to everybody on Zoom and those on YouTube. Glad that all of our guests have been able to join us tonight, along with our members. Thank you for an inspiring message, Nami. That was really great. And thank you for a beautiful reading, Rabbi. This Sunday, February 4th, the Congregation Shalom Mahjong Club will be meeting at the Corner Bakery Cafe as usual. Please contact Andrea or Sandra for more information. And our Congregation Shalom meeting will be Sunday, February 11th at 4 p.m. on Zoom. By the way, if you've been meaning to fill out a membership application, now's the time so we can take care of it at the meeting. On Wednesday, the 21st of February, online on Zoom, Rabbi Lisa will be teaching What Happens After I Die, Jewish Views on the Afterlife. The registration link is in our weekly newsletter or online at our website. And finally, Purim is coming. We've got a good one for you this year, folks. Saturday, March 23rd, instead of services that Friday night, we're going to have a Western Purim and chili cook-off. There are more details in the weekly email newsletter. If you don't want to make chili, please bring something else. We've got a potluck sign up, but if you do want to make chili, bring enough for about 30 people to have a taste of it. And yeah, that's it from me. Shabbat Shalom.
And if you want to participate in the Purim Spiel, which I hope you do, just shoot me an email so that I will know, and we're going to start rehearsing mid-February. Lacey's working on the script.
I am.
would be helpful. There we go. We are going to continue with the concluding portion of our service, beginning with Aleinu L'Shabeach. You will find it on page 283, page 283, page 587 in the big book. Please rise as able. Aleinu L'Shabeach La'adon HaKol, Lateit Gedula Liotzer Breshit, Shehu Sam Chelkeinu Liached Et Shemo, V'gor Aleinu Lehamlich Malchuto, Va'anachnu Korim, Umishtachavim Umodim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, page 284. Shehu noteh shamayim ve'osed haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim mima'al, u'shchinatu zo, begovhei meromim, hu Eloheinu einod, emet mokeinu efes zulato, kakatu B'Torato, v'yatayom, hashevota el levavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim mimal, v'al ha'aretz, mitachat einod. Page 27. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu hiya Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Page 295, 599 in the big book. We think of our loved one whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Is anybody observing a yard site or remembering somebody for Kaddish this week, Cynthia?
No.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I am
Oh, Lacey, sorry.
Oswaldo Joe Sanchez.
Thank you. Anybody on Zoom? We remember 10 people who perished in the Holocaust: Elizabeth Groen, Margareta Groot, Ilse Guggenheim, Marietta Hartun, Leah Finige, Soriana Frank, Alice Frankel, Sophie Regina Frankel, Lena Gottschalk, Natya de Groot. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing, as we turn to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294, 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayei chon u'vyomei chon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru. Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens help us to make peace here on earth and send peace to all who are bereaved, as we say. Amen. Please be seated. We are going to conclude with Tree of Life. It's Chaim Hi. You'll find it on the back of your Shabbat bulletin. Okay. Shalom, 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 shalom. It is a tree of life to them that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to all that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom. Eitz Chaim hi lemachzikim v'tomcheha meushar. Eitz Chaim hi lemachzikim v'tomcheha meushar. Shalom, 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 shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Who would like to lead us in Kiddush this evening? Maury?
Of course.
You'll find the Kiddush on page 5, page 123 in the big book. Thank you.
You got it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh bereshit, ki hu yom tefillah lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim. B'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lachem min haaretz,
There you go.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Paula.
And to you, how you doing?
Live stream.
Shabbat Shalom, Paula. Shabbat Shalom, Eileen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shanae, Dennis, and Doreen,
Anaya.
and Kim.
Yeah, hi.